Good evening, everybody. How y'all doing this Thursday evening? It's your favorite couple. Yeah, I say that all the time, man. That's true. I'm gonna say it till it be true in your mind. We know it's true. And yours truly, Dr. Stan and Lady D, coming to you live. We your favorite couple? Yeah, we are. We're my favorite couple too. So anyway.
Yes.
And we got a couple other couples we like too, out there. So we don't call them names. We start calling them names. And but anyway, what am I doing here? Okay, did I go? Okay, I had to make sure I hit my buttons here. So anyway, and greetings everybody. How y'all doing out there on this wonderful Thursday evening? And we bring you greetings from the beautiful city of Arlington, Texas, and coming live to you from here, our home here. And God has blessed us with. And so listen, we're glad to be with you guys again on tonight. Yes. And we're going to pick up where we left off on last week. And we're trying to bring to a close the subject matter of, we were talking about, the main subject was how to rekindle your fire of desire. And we're at a closing point, and the question came up, what do you do when you want to rekindle the fire of desire for your spouse in your relationship, but your spouse does not? What do you do? Right. And so we're going to briefly talk a little bit about that and give you some wisdom keys and some nuggets. And there are two very key, powerful words we're going to discuss. That's important in that process to understand. So this won't be well, my mind won't be very deep. I don't know, but maybe deep in your mind. I don't know. But we're going to look at a couple of scriptures here. And so if you got some pen and paper or some way to take some note, you want to write down these key things we're going to give you on tonight. And you in a relationship, you in a marriage, particularly, and the fire's gotten a little bit cold or cool or just gone out, but you and your spouse either together have desired and made it known to yourselves and to some trusted counselor, your pastor, whoever, that you want to, rekindle that fire. We gave you some very key things to do on last time, so we won't go over those things. I'd encourage you to go back and listen to the replay from last week and those before, and on Successfully Us, and you'll get those keys and that information. And but now we're dealing with the fact of what is one of you want to rekindle the fire of desire, but then the other one does not or is not motivated. What do you do? What the one that wants to restore the fire of desire in the marriage? We're gonna talk specifically to you tonight, right, and focus on you, because that's really the main key, because it takes two individuals, to have a healthy, whole, and successful marriage. And but just because it's broken doesn't mean it's over, doesn't mean it's the end. It means you on a rough path, you're in a rough place right now. It won't be easy. This is why we say, and I repeat myself, marriage is for real men and real women. Marriage is for the mature,
the grown folks.
Yeah, marriage ain't no plaything, because right, it requires at times some very tough decisions and things, right. So we're not gonna solve all your problems. We're not gonna give you all the answers, but I promise you, we're gonna give you some keys, give you some wisdom, give you some understanding that'll put you on a better path and put you in a better place from day to day, because you got to take it one day at a time. And so anything you want to say, maybe as we open up before I go up into a couple of scriptures here?
Go ahead, my love.
Okay.
You shared with me what you were going to go over, and it's pretty powerful, you guys. So I hope you're paying attention. I hope you have pen and paper, like he said, because it's good stuff.
So I want to look at a couple of scriptures before we get off into the two key words we're gonna look at that's important. And these words that we're going to use, that we're going to discuss tonight, and is that, it's true of anybody, whether you in a marriage relationship or not. you know, you should learn to do what I'm going to talk to you about tonight and share with you. But especially if you're in the heat of the moment, in a bad situation, a bad relationship, a tough relationship, and you know, you want to salvage it, you want to save it, you know, you want to see God's will done in it, but your partner, your spouse, and I'm talking about husband and wife, so just get that clear, you know, and we ain't getting into all that, but that's what we talk about, man and a woman, husband and wife. I ain't talking about all the other stuff. All right, so we'll talk about that another time. But what do you do? What do you do? You know, there is a healthy focus that you need to take regarding yourself. And again, we're going to give you 2 key words that you've got to really master when it comes to yourself and in the relationship. But even if you're not in a relationship, you know, because people get hurt, through friendships. And there we go again, you know. And I get to talking and I don't know what happens. But anyway, give me a moment. And I ate my egg sandwich early today too, you know, so I don't know why I'm messing with me. But I want to read a couple of scriptures here that'll kind of help us kind of lay the foundation. So anyway, Proverbs 18 is the first one I want to look at. So if you are the individual who wants to restore the passion in the marriage, you want your marriage, you're going to stay in your marriage, even though your spouse is, they you know, they don't want to or whatever, and you leave, you know. Let me say that before I read Proverbs 18, I want to go back to let's look at another scripture. So keep your hand on Proverbs, because Proverbs is going to deal with the personal things that you got to do. But I want to look at I believe it's, let's see, 1 Corinthians, or let me see here, which one I want to look at. I guess it is. Give me a moment, y'all. Let me get that. Let me get my little Bible where I got my notes. Well, I know I got my notes on. I want to show if it's 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians. I believe it's, I want to say it was 1 Corinthians, huh? Yeah, 2 Corinthians, 1 Corinthians 6. Yes, it's 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Yeah, 1 Corinthians chapter 7. I think we read this once before, and I just want to read it again. And 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse number 10, start at verse number 10. It says, but to the married people I give charge, not I, but the Lord, that the wife is not to separate from her husband. But, and if she depart, let her remain unmarried or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife. But to the rest, speak I, not the Lord. So Paul said, listen, this, I'm going to give you some wisdom here. This is not the Lord saying. And it's important people understand that, you know. And he says, any brother hath a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. And the woman which hath a husband that believeth not, if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife. The unbeliever will benefit from the believer. And listen, believer, you can't stop that. That's important to understand that. You know, and then it says the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Elsewhere, your children unclean, but now are they holy. See, it's not over when one quit and the other don't. It's not over necessarily.
That's right.
You know, and that's important to understand that. And so I wanted us to And then verse number 15 says, but if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. A brother or sister is not under bondage in such a case, but God has called us to peace.
To live in peace.
Yep. Verse 16 says, for what knowest thou, O wife, whether you shall save your husband? Well, in other words, whether you should be an instrument in his deliverance. Or, wife, how knowest thou, O man, rather, whether you shall save your wife? You see, a lot of times we think we have to do things in regard to the other person for God to move in their lives. No. See, this is one of the things that we're getting out of this is that you can't decide for another person.
That's right.
That's the first thing you want to understand. You've got to accept that. And sometimes that's what gets a lot of people.
Yeah.
Is that they're so bent on trying to decide for the other person. You can't decide. Listen to me very careful. You cannot decide for another person. You can only decide for yourself. Number two, God don't hold you responsible for their decision.
That's right.
Only yours.
That's right.
You need to get the peace to this now. You need to get the peace that comes with this. Because if they choose to go away, it's not on you. It's going to hurt you, you know, and some of us, you know, think we have the power to choose other people. Listen to me very careful. Let me give you this wisdom key right here. In a marriage, and here's where a lot of people go wrong. In a marriage, for some reason, a lot of us, and I'm sure it has to do with the way we're taught and trained and whatever, you know, we somehow get our mind and start thinking that because you're married to someone, that you're responsible for them. No.
Not at all.
No. You see, we have a responsibility to each other, but we're not responsible for each other. I'm not responsible for my life, my wife. My wife is not responsible for me. I have a responsibility to her, not for her. That's very important because a lot of times this is why people can't get themselves together emotionally, is because you're trying to handle what you're responsible for in regarding yourself. And at the same time, you're trying to carry the weight of being responsible for your spouse.
So my love, break that down just a little bit.
I thought
more.
I just did.
He did.
No, she said a little bit more. Okay,
A
good.
little bit more. Responsible to, but not responsible for.
Okay,
So go ahead. Go ahead.
let me give it to you in the context of happiness.
Okay. Okay.
See, I have a responsibility to add and contribute and not take away from her happiness.
For my happiness.
I have a responsibility to your happiness in adding to, appreciating, sharing, and make sure I don't take away from it. But I'm not responsible for your happiness.
My happiness. I'm responsible for that.
Yes.
That is a perfect example. Perfect. Because in saying that, he's going to do his part to help both of us live in peace. So of course, if you keep disrupting my peace, I am doing all I can to bring peace to this relationship, and you find ways to disturb that peace, then your responsibility to me to keep peace in our marriage has been altered.
Well, I've
you
abdicated my responsibility. See,
I needed you to break that down.
Yeah.
That's good.
See, again, if I'm not responsible for your happiness, but if I'm doing things that takes away from your happiness, then that means I've neglected my responsibility to you.
That's right.
Because a part of my responsibility to you is to not take away
That's exactly
your happiness.
right.
You see what I'm saying? And it's because, you know, so just because I'm not responsible for your happiness, I have to make sure I'm not taking. So that means I'm responsible to add. So I can't add and take away.
That's exactly
So if I'm
right.
responsible to add to your happiness, then that means I'm being irresponsible when I take away, when I do things that, so remember, last week we talked about emotional leakage.
Right.
That falls in line of that if I do things and I contribute to your emotional leakage and the emotional leakage of the marriage, then I'm failing in my responsibility to you.
I don't know if you guys are getting this, but this is really profound, because when I tell you, I have heard him say this, I have heard you say this so many times. I'm not responsible for you, but I'm responsible to you. I never really asked them to break that down, but that is truly, truly profound. Now you know what you are responsible for and what you are responsible to do in the relationship.
Yeah.
So go ahead, baby. That was good.
And so that's the practicality of that. And so if I fulfill my responsibility to you, then I won't neglect my responsibility to you.
That's
See,
right.
and I don't have to be responsible for you, because when you're responsible for someone, that makes you more than an avenue and a tool. That makes you a source. And God didn't make us a source to each other. I'm not a source for my wife. I'm a tool in God's hand, who is the source. See, I'm an avenue. I'm a vehicle for God to get things to him. Because girl, God, listen, I can't give my words out. God's got some good things for you. I'm trying to get to you. I'm trying to get everything that God got for you to you.
And I appreciate your efforts.
Yeah, I need you to receive it. Let's receive it. Come on, say it with me. I receive it.
I receive it right
there.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
See, and that's what God used us as an avenue to each other. See, God don't make me responsible for his daughter. God don't make his daughter responsible for his son. We need to understand that. You see, and when we understand that, then watch this. Then we don't put the burden on each other to make each other happy.
That's exactly right. Because anybody that is married for any number of months, not even years, number of months, it's not always going to be peaches and cream.
No,
it's not. You're going to have your challenges. And of course, even at that point, when you are having your challenges, that person is still responsible for how they behave during those challenges. And of course, you are responsible for how you process your challenges. So you have to still keep your peace. You have to still learn how to keep your joy, keep your happiness, and take control of that for yourself, you know? Yeah. So,
and this is why people, you know, when people don't understand these principles, this concept, then they think they got to have great conditions to be happy.
That's right.
They got to have great conditions to be strong. They got to have great conditions, and you really don't. You know, you don't have to have perfect conditions. Everything don't have to be going well. And listen, because the other person's performance should not be the source of your happiness, of your strength, of your wholeness, of your well-being. And this is when you find out that you're leaning on the wrong thing, because when you talk about, I ain't happy because of him or because of her, first of all, you should have never made him your source. You see, you know, and so now, you know, you may not be happy with what they doing and happy about what they're doing, but to say you ain't happy, you unhappy person because of it, you've taken that too far, which means you failed yourself.
That's right. You've given away your power.
Yeah, you give away your power, and you got to understand that. And so in this text that we're reading is that God said, listen, I can still work in the union when just one believing, but the one that's believing have to not take responsibility for the one that's not believing, and take responsibility, full responsibility for themselves, which means when you take responsibility for yourself, you get out of God's way in regards to your spouse. And listen, and God can handle it a lot better than you and I can, and they're going to get better or they're going to get gone. Either way, you're going to be good.
That's right.
Yeah, we're hoping they don't get gone. That's not the objective, that's not the goal. But you got to understand that. You got to accept that, because that's the possibility. Because listen, people decide where they want to be, when they want to be there.
That's exactly right.
And how long they want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I know some of y'all think y'all deciding for this other person. No. Your spouse is deciding to stay or go.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't deciding for them. Now, if you are, then that means you're doing some witchcraft stuff. You know, you got a gun or a knife or something going on extra, you know what I'm saying? And that you manipulating their will.
Right.
You know, but you got to understand something. God's not holding you responsible for their decision, because he's not holding you responsible for them. You're only responsible for yourself.
For yourself.
You know, and your children, as long as they're under your care, you know, for a certain thing. And after that, you ain't responsible for them no more.
And if you get that revelation, that is so liberating.
Yes.
And help you to have the right connection, the right relationship with God for yourself.
Yeah.
Because you get your mind off of trying to make them what you think God wants them to be. And just focus on being what you believe with all your heart God wants you to be. And like I said, it's just, there's so much peace that go along with that. So much peace.
Yeah. So the foundation of this is this. The foundation of recovering yourself or the passion in the union, it must begin with, you must understand the clarity of responsibility to versus responsibility for. You've got to get that. You've got to get that. Once you understand that you're not responsible for them, their happiness, their peace, their joy, whatever, you have a responsibility to it. You know, even in the area of sexuality, finances, anything, you have a responsibility to that. Okay. Now, on that foundation, you must build these key things. You must start building with these particular wisdom keys I'm gonna give you. So now let's go to Proverbs 18. Proverbs 18, and let's look at our first building block. Because now, you know, you've decided, hey, I want to do my part to restore the relationship, restore the passion, but you can only restore it within yourself. Because remember, passion in the relationship comes from the individuals in the relationship.
That's right.
You can't stir up somebody else's fire. You can only stir up yours. You can only contribute to their fire. But if they don't want their fire to burn, you can't control that.
You can't make it burn.
You know,
right.
and because, you know what I'm saying? And so you got to understand that. So that way you can handle their response or their lack of response in a healthy manner and still be healthy and whole, even in a broken relationship. Now we're talking about a broken relationship. You're still together, still married, but the relationship is broken. So what I'm going to help you understand now is, here's how to repair you even in the midst of the broken relationship. Because a broken relationship, listen, be very careful. A broken relationship, the phone was ringing. I did look, I'm sorry. A broken relationship is a result of brokenness that comes from both sides. See, but watch this. God is saying in the word that the union still have hope if one person remains whole while the other person is broken. See?
Because he can restore.
Because it can be restored, you know, whatever. And so, because all God needs is a seed. You got to understand the power that you have in a relationship when you let God in. You got to let God in now. Now, you know, you got to let God. And listen, and when you let God in, God says, if you're going to let me in, if I'm going to get in, I need you to stay in your lane.
That's right.
Stay in your lane, which means work on you.
That's right.
Don't be working on them.
That's right.
Because when you're trying to work on you and work on them at the same time, God ain't going to be involved. Why? Because now you take responsibility for them and you messing it up.
And he's not going to do it the way you think he should do it.
Right.
Because he is God. He's going to do it the way he wants to do it.
Yeah.
Now, we're not downplaying this. This is not easy.
No, it's not easy.
So just like we said earlier, marriage, first of all, marriage is for the mature. But when you are trying to restore a broken marriage and you truly want God to restore the passion, restore the love, restore the union, that other person is kind of acting crazy and you have that desire, you really gonna grow up. But it's so worth it. It is so worth it because first of all, we must get the revelation that nothing is impossible with God. Things are impossible for us if we try to do it in our own strength, but nothing is impossible with God. And God is pro-marriage.
Yeah.
He is. He pro-marriage.
And listen to this. This is also applicable to the person where the spouse have left.
That's exactly right.
What I'm about to share with you is for the individual who's still in a marriage and is broken, as well as the individual who was in a marriage and it dissolved and went away. You got to do the same thing that I'm about to start telling you. You got to do the same thing. So I'm talking to those of you who your spouse done left and you still sitting on the curb, so to speak, you know, and you trying to, what do I do? Listen, you have a responsibility for yourself that you must engage in. You're not responsible. See, because when you take responsibility, here's the downfall of taking responsibility for the person that's in the other person. When you take responsibility for your spouse, okay, and they leave you, they took their happiness and left, or whatever they sadness, whatever they took with them.
Right.
They took it all left. And guess this, watch this. If they were responsible for your happiness, that means they took yours with them.
That's exactly right.
That's why you don't make each other responsible for one another. Because again, what I'm responsible for, I can take.
That's right.
What I give you. That's the other benefit of being only responsible to them. So guess what? If you're only responsible to that person and they leave, guess what? They didn't take your happiness with them.
Right.
They took theirs or the lack thereof. But if you are just can't find happiness nowhere because they left, guess what that means? You never knew how to find it before they came.
That's a problem.
That's a problem.
That's a problem.
See?
Yeah.
This is why this stuff got to be understood even before you get married.
Amen.
And I go through this in my premarital counseling.
Amen.
Help couples to understand that. Why? Because this is how people get manipulated.
That's right.
And get hoodwinked and all kind of stuff. And then we get tied up and then we act a fool after. Why? Because the truth of the matter is, the issue is not that they left you, they betrayed you. You know what the greater issue is? You never learn to take responsibility for your own happiness.
That's right.
You always wrapped it up in somebody else. Now you're finna find out how immature and insufficient your skills are for your own benefit.
That's right. And people say that all the time. Why? You'll ask the question, why you want to be with this person? Because they make me happy.
They make me happy, yeah.
That's right.
Like implying that you otherwise you won't be.
That's exactly.
No. Add to your happiness, not make your happiness.
That's a very important word.
My wife does not make my happiness. She add to my happiness.
Yes.
I add to her happiness. I don't make it.
That's right.
See?
That's right.
And to make sure I add to, I focus on adding to her happiness. And if I focus on adding to her happiness, guess what? I won't take away from it.
That's exactly right. Because there are times where not ours, baby. Because
Okay.
I'm serious. We have a wonderful relationship.
Okay.
There are times where the marriage may not be having a happy time, but we're still happy because we're
Well,
happy people.
we have unhappy moments.
Oh, they're very brief.
Exactly. No. See,
See, I'm quick.
No.
I get upset fast and I get happy fast. And that's the thing. I'm a very emotional person. So I'll be, upset and he'll know I'm upset. And then
That's
10
an
minutes
unhappy
later,
moment.
it is a moment.
Yeah. See,
It is a moment.
and every relationship is going to have that.
Yeah.
You see, but it's how you handle those unhappy moments. An unhappy
Yeah.
moment is something that you ain't happy about.
Exactly. Right.
Unhappy moment is something that was done or said that didn't add to the happiness. That's an unhappy moment.
Right.
Everybody's going to have those. The key is how you process the unhappy moments.
Right.
And then number two, the key is understanding that even though you have an unhappy moment, the other person is still not responsible for your happiness.
Right. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're going to have unhappy moments because you're not happy about everything that happens. No one is.
Correct.
The key is how you handle them. And that takes maturity to handle that.
Yes.
And so when you learn to do these things by yourself, you learn to do them as a couple. Most couples that I know didn't learn to do that by themselves. And so when they get together, they don't learn to do that. And they're terrible at learning how to do it together. And they fight and they make each other. And the bottom line is they're making each other responsible for one another.
That's right.
And that's the thing that I get couples to see. And say, you know what your problem is? You making him responsible. Because, for example, when you say stuff like, I would be if you didn't.
That's
Really?
right. Mm-hmm.
See, when your performance is conditional to their performance, there lies your problem.
Hmm.
Let me ask y'all, well, no, I ain't you may not get that, so I ain't gonna ask that question. Think about it. See, if you can't perform what you should be performing, when they're not performing, then that's something wrong with you.
Hmm.
It's simply their lack of performance really expose your lack of performance on your own.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
See, too many of us, especially in this country, we are trained and raised to lean on other people, get a relationship for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
Either paying bills or to make you happy or to complete you. You know what? No. Oh, let me jump on that one right there.
Mm-hmm. Completely.
We'll do that again, a subject all by itself.
Mm-hmm.
My wife don't complete me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't complete my wife. We share our completion with one another.
That is a different mindset, baby. All our lives.
Yeah.
We hear my better half. I'm looking for my, I'm 50% looking for my other 50%. No, that's not how
See,
God
that's
sees
logic. That's
it.
foolishness.
Yeah.
You know, to my, you know.
That means you're broken.
You complete me. Exactly. That means you broke her.
Yeah.
You complete me. Really?
That's right. That's right.
Where y'all get that from? You don't get it from the word.
That's true.
That sounds positive. That is not accurate. That is not healthy.
Mm.
That's unhealthy talk put in a positive twist to it. No. It said the two shall become one. It didn't say the two halves.
Right.
Look it up. It means the two wholes shall come together
Mhm.
and make a whole.
Now, of course, even the word tells you that's a mystery,
Yeah.
but that's our God.
And we'll get into that. We'll do a whole
Yeah.
segment just on that. But I just thought I'd throw that out there because,
Yeah.
when people get hurt and broken and they start blaming. No. You can put yourself back together with the help of God by way of his word, his truth, his wisdom, his principles, his understanding. See, and you're responsible for your own wholeness.
That's right.
And I get into that heavy in my premarital counseling, because you got too many broken people looking for somebody to fill their voids and fill their holes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then when they don't, guess what? I ain't happy. I ain't this and whatever. Let me tell you something. See, we put unreasonable expectation upon people because we can't fulfill things that we're responsible for. So we put them upon our spouses to fulfill them. And when they don't, they're not a good spouse. We ain't got a good marriage. See, we got too many issues. Yeah. First of all, and we're not addressing those. So let me get back to my point of again, if you're in the marriage and trying to salvage it and the other is not trying to, or if the marriage has been dissolved, the other person gone their way, you got to do the same thing. How do you recover? Well, you got to do the same thing that the person in the marriage, still in the marriage, got to do. And so I want to read the first one, and we're going to get to this first one tonight because we're out of time. Proverbs 18 is the first one I want to read. And we'll come back next Thursday, y'all, and we'll pick up here again and continue this. Because I knew that once I open up this well, more is going to flow and we run out of time. Proverbs 18, verse number 14. It says, the spirit of a man will sustain his infirmity, but a wounded spirit, who can bear? The strong spirit, I'm reading the Amplified version here. The strong spirit of a man, find the Message Bible. Message. Yeah, the Message. The strong spirit of a man sustains him in bodily pain or trouble. Who sustains him? His spirit, not his spouse, not the other person. See, you got to have a healthy spirit when you're experiencing physical sickness or emotional sickness. The key is how strong, how healthy is your spirit. Watch this. But a weak and broken spirit, who can raise up or bear? See, when your spirit is broken, your spirit is wounded, nobody's responsible for that but you. See, no physical person, no physical condition can help a wounded spirit. But a wounded spirit, a strong spirit can help and hold up a wounded body. That's right. And a wounded mind. That's right. What does the Message Bible say? 14, right? Yeah. A healthy spirit conquers adversity. But what can you do when the spirit is crushed? Wow. Yeah. What do you do when your spirit is crushed? Let me read this next passage real quick, because I think it's so befitting to what we're talking about. What we were talking about just now about being responsible for, being responsible to, I think that's some awesome wisdom nuggets for you married people and single people. Yeah. Okay. Unmarried people. Yes. Yes. Unmarried, because we all supposed to be single and whole. Yeah. So that's exactly right. So 15 tells us wise men and women are always learning. You have to stay open. You have to be teachable. Just because all your life you were looking for somebody to make you happy, now you've learned you have to take control of your own happiness and make no one else responsible for your happiness. Yeah. So that's wise. That's wisdom. And when you get that revelation, you become wise in that and change the course of your happiness, I should say. So the other piece to that is, and you're always listening for fresh insights. So you just heard some fresh insights. So I hope that helped you. That's for sure. Read it to you in the King James verse says, the heart of the prudent getteth knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeketh knowledge. So,
Mm.
so that goes back to what I was saying as we prepare to close, is that, listen, the knowledge is knowing that you're responsible for you and not the other person.
That's it.
See, that your happiness or your sadness is not the result of their action.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say it again, and I'm gonna explain. My happiness or my sadness is not due to the result of her actions.
Mm-hmm.
My happiness or my sadness is due to my response to her action.
That's right.
Why? Because she don't have the power to make me happy, make me sad. Only I do.
That's right.
Which means I choose sadness when she do certain things. I choose happiness when she do certain things.
That's right. It's a choice.
See, God said it like this. I set before you life and death. And that's not in the form of a person. He said blessing and curse, good and evil. You choose.
Yeah.
See, you got to choose knowledge and information that helps you recover.
Mm-hmm.
See, just like you chose a person to add to your life, you got to keep choosing information as well as that person to grow as an individual and to grow the marriage.
Right.
It's amazing how people think that all I got to do is choose the right person and everything gonna be great. No, you got to do more than that. Yes, you must choose the right person, but you also, after choosing the right person, you got to keep choosing the right information, the right understanding, the right knowledge, the right behavior. You're right. So you got to keep choosing. Why? The power is in your choosing.
That's right. That's right.
So happiness and sadness is the byproduct of your choice.
Mm-hmm.
Happiness and sadness is the byproduct of your spouse's choice.
Mm-hmm.
That you can do everything in your power to make them happy. But if they choose to be sad, guess what? They're going to be sad.
Mm-hmm.
That don't mean the things you did to make them happy was weak.
Yeah.
It just reminds you, you don't have the power that you think you do.
That's right. That's right.
See,
Mm-hmm.
we share it with people, and or we give it away, which means we cease to be responsible for ourselves because we don't make somebody else responsible for ourselves. Listen, we're gonna leave it right there for tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I got a couple more scriptures we're gonna read along with this Proverbs 18. Because when you go down and look at verse number 20 and 21, we're gonna look at next time. To add to what we just read in verse number 14 and verse number 15, because life and death is in your mouth.
That's right.
It's in your mind.
That's right.
It's not in the mouth of your spouse.
That's
It's not in the mind of your spouse. It's in you.
That's right.
So you get to decide which one live. You see, and so we'll dive off into this more next time as we continue to move forward. And what do I do if my spouse have left and I'm trying to recover? How do I recover emotionally and mentally and spiritually? What do I need to do? Well, the first thing, or if your spouse is still there and the marriage is broken and you need to recover, what do? The first thing is you got to make sure you're standing on the sure foundation of, I realize now that I only have a responsibility to my spouse.
That's right.
I'm not responsible for my spouse. And likewise, my spouse only have a responsibility to me. They are not responsible for me.
Mm-hmm.
So stop making your spouse responsible for your happiness or your sadness.
Mm-hmm.
See, God is waiting on you to grow up and mature and say, you know what, Lord, I'm going to take responsibility for mine.
Mhm.
And then you'll be on a journey of recovery. That's the foundation you got to stand on. If you don't stand on that foundation, then all the other things I'm going to tell you, they ain't going to make sense. And you really ain't going to like them. And they ain't going to work. Why? Because if you stand on the wrong foundation, you're not going to build the house right.
Mhm.
And so that's, the Bible said, understanding is the foundation.
Mhm.
That's why I want to give you that understanding, because that foundation, and then we're going to rebuild your life one room at a time.
That's right.
With some key words we're going to give you next time and going forward.
And David,
so go
before you
ahead.
close, I want to add
Yeah.
this, because you said if your spouse, now, of course, if the spouse is still there, we need to, spend time and take responsibility for ourselves. But if your spouse is gone and you are trying to rebuild yourself and rebuild your life, don't go get somebody else.
Yeah.
You're going to find yourself in a bigger mess.
Yeah.
Because you're most likely you are broken, and you need to allow the word of God to rebuild you.
Yeah.
Leave that man, that woman alone, because it's not going to work out. And you're going to find yourself possibly in another divorce because you're not ready. You need to be rebuilt. You need to learn what you did wrong the first time or the second time. This might be your second or third marriage. You need to find out what you did wrong. Allow the Spirit of God to show you yourself and why you chose that mate.
Yeah.
At the same time, He's building you up in the word. So next time, when you are ready again, if you decide you want to be married again, you'll choose so much better because you'll be whole. And not broken. You won't be seeing cross-eyed, because if you're trying to get a person or have a relationship with somebody too soon, you're seeing cross-eyed. You're not seeing straight. Right. But when you spend time in the word, then you can see straight, and you can say, like I said, when I met my honey, because we had spent time on ourselves, allowing God to heal our hearts and make us whole again. And when I saw him, it didn't take long for us to know we were meant to be together. It took us about 3 months. That was almost 16 years ago.
She lying, y'all. It didn't take me no 3 months. It took me 3 days. Took her 3 months.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it took her. Yeah.
It didn't take me 3 months either. We were planning a wedding. Then I said, forget this.
It didn't take
Let's
no
get
3
married.
months. Yeah.
So, but my point is, we were so clear on what we knew. Our discernment was key. I'm gonna say that. We had some strong discernment going.
Discernment and development.
That's right, and development.
That's good.
And we were so clear on when we saw each other, and we really saw each other, not just what we saw, because that didn't move neither one of us, but we saw each other, what we were working with on the inside.
Yeah.
We were like, now that's me.
Yeah.
That's me. That's what I've been wanting. And the rest is history.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So I'm begging you, don't go jump into another relationship. Allow the word of God to fill you up, okay, and heal you and make you whole again. All right. So
here's why. If you haven't rebuilt your house before you move somebody in, so to speak, imagine. Wow. You haven't rebuilt yourself, rebuilt your life. Imagine living in a house that don't have a roof, but you brought on these spouse in and say, we got love. We covered in love. Or you got a house, you ain't got no bed, no furniture, or the foundation got holes in it.
Wow.
Would you move somebody in that kind of physical house? No, you wouldn't. Why would you move somebody into a mental and spiritual house that looks like that?
Wow.
That the walls you got up, they paper walls. They're not even real sheetrock. Why? Because they're walls of anger. They're walls of fear, walls of security. See, some of us that replace a betrayal, those not real walls. Yeah. Those kind of walls don't protect you. See, the wall's supposed to protect from room to room. Those kind of walls of anger, bitterness, and insecurity, whatever, those walls, watch this, those walls make it easier for the enemy to live in your house.
That's exactly right.
They don't protect you.
Mhm.
They protect what the enemy has brought in your house and keep it in your house.
Mm.
But you got to renovate your life.
Yeah.
That's why I tell folks, listen, you got to spend some transition time before you move to another relationship. Why? You got to rebuild your house. You got to rebuild your life.
Mhm.
And Proverbs 24:3 says, a house, a life is built and rebuilt by wisdom.
Yeah.
And that's what we're giving you,
Amen.
is wisdom.
Amen.
And then it says it's established upon understanding.
Mhm.
That's the foundation. And then it says in the next verse, and all the rooms are filled with precious and good furniture according to knowledge.
That's right.
So that's what this teaching is all about. That's what this time together is all about, is to help you to rebuild your life, whether it's by yourself or whether it's in a marriage and you feel like you're by yourself. Either way,
Mhm.
it's going to work because you're going to let God in
Yeah.
and you're going to do it God's way. Listen, appreciate y'all joining us tonight. And
Yes.
we pray that the word's been a blessing to you. Hope we've shared some things that'll help you, and share with somebody. Let somebody know
Yes.
to go back and listen to this. And you go back and listen to it again over and over again, because some things you probably didn't catch the first time you heard, and pass the word. Let somebody know about our Successfully Us broadcast weekly Thursday night.
Yes.
Unless we got some other meetings that prevents us from being here, we'll be here on Thursday night sharing with you, helping you. And if you have any questions from the teaching tonight or anything, please send us a message, Facebook or Messenger. Send us a message, and we'll answer your question later. We won't answer it live because we're not looking at that part of the screen, so we can stay focused and not be distracted. But we'll come back next time or at some point, answer your question. So please send us in your question. Don't be afraid. Send us your question. And if it seemed like you sent a question, we didn't answer it and never got around to it, probably because it wasn't worth answering. I'm just gonna tell you the truth. Some things just ain't worth addressing. You know what I'm saying? And you knew when it came out of your mind that it wasn't answerable or worth answering, because you already knew the answer. Anyway, so until then, live as you was created
And not as you were born.
and not as you were born, because that's the only way you can be successfully you
Yeah.
and successful us. That's God's will for your life. That's our time. Appreciate y'all. Bless you.
Good
See you
night,
next time.
Facebook.
Good night, Facebook family. Everybody, have a great weekend. Be blessed. Have a good night. Take care.